Hey, what is going on, everyone? I'm going to take these leagues off. It is September 10th, 2017, and that means it is the start of the 2017 NFL season. Well, I mean, it started on Thursday, but, the Niners played today, so to me, it starts today. They lost. I've been pretty quiet pretty much since the end of last season. I was really excited about the draft. I was excited they got Foster. I was excited they got Solomon Thomas. And then that's about where the excitement kind of ended. All the other rest of the players that they drafted, some of them looked solid during the preseason. Some of them I had no idea where the hell they came from, including CJ, but Thastia or whatever, whatever our backup quarterback's name is. Um, yeah, but they ended up losing today, and I even stayed quiet when they hired the coach because I wasn't really too sure of Kyle Shanahan. Um, I believe I'm not misspeaking here when I say he is the son of Mike Shanahan, who is probably one of the greatest coaches to have coached the game. And I was indifferent to the hire. I was glad that they got rid of Chip Kelly because Chip Kelly sucked. You saw, or at least I hope some of you saw the rant that I had when they hired him. Chip Kelly is terrible. He's a terrible coach. He was way worse than Tom Sula, who would have guessed it, right? Um, so just recapping last year, or like last 2 years, 5-11 was the record again with Tom Sula. 2-14 with a 13-game losing streak was the record with Chip Kelly. So he's gone, thankfully. They hired uh, Kyle Shanahan. They gave him a quarterback which he was very comfortable with in Brian Hoyer. Brian Hoyer, in my opinion, is a decent backup at best. He had one good season with the Browns against, well, I mean, with Kyle Shanahan as the OC. I believe that was the magical season. I believe it was like maybe like the 11th or 12th season. I can't remember exactly what particular season that was because I mean, it's the Browns. Who really cares? Um, and then they lose this game against the Carolina Panthers 23-3. And here's going to be some of my takeaways. You have somebody like Pierre Garcon, maybe not the deep threat he used to be, but still the deepest threat the Niners currently have on that roster, at least the way that it's currently formed. And there's no attempts to go beyond 15, 16, 17, 20 yards with this guy there. There's no attempt to try to go down the field. This has been the weakest part of their offensive scheme for the last 3 seasons ever since Jim Harbaugh left. There's no risk down the field. Tom Sula kept everything in close. Chip Kelly was terrible, kept everything even closer. Um, Kyle Shanahan, I don't think there was any attempts today that went past 15 yards. I think the longest attempt or the longest throw from point of throw to catch was about maybe 7 or 8 yards. So when you shorten the field on yourself, what's going to happen to that run game? The run game is going to get collapsed on because there's no threat overhead. You don't have to stretch. You can push that box in. That has been the Achilles heel of the Niners offense the last 3 seasons. Why has this man not tried to find ways to not make that happen again? But instead, no, it's happening again. It's like he didn't learn anything from his Super Bowl loss. Like, just because you think something works, just because you swear you have this plan that this is going to work, doesn't mean it's going to work. Sometimes you have to adjust. Adjust. To see, literally, I think, I might have misspoken right now, but I think the longest completion they had was 12 yards. And I think it was to Pierre Garcon. There was no 20-yard attempts. There was no 30-yard. There was no chucking this ball down the field. You refuse to risk chucking the ball 20, 30, 40 yards down the field on one-off plays just to kind of let the defense know, like, hey, we see you creeping in. We're going to throw it over your head and see how you respond to this. Just to kind of put that in their head that, you know what, we're willing to do this. You're unwilling to risk that, but yet you're willing to risk 3 fourth downs, 2 of them in the first half, which led to 2 field goals. At the end of the first half, it was 20-0. So kudos to to the Niners defense because they only gave up 3 points in the second half. But they only scored 3 points in the second half. And again, that's something that has been the problem as well. They don't score points. 3 points in a whole game. I don't care what the excuses. Oh, they're young, they're this, they're that. No, 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 no. You have the tools to score at least 15. They still would have lost, but at least that's 15. That's like for this game, that's within a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. Not no 20 points. You have a beast of a running back in Hyde. A beast. Yes, he can't stay healthy a lot, but there's no denying this man's just potential. If you give him a chance to run, how do you create chances to run? You throw deep balls. You stretch out the front seven so you can create small holes. If you give Carlos Hyde those small holes to run through the whole game, guess what? Now the defense has to decide how they're going to play this. Carlos Hyde's on the field. What do? Do you overstack the left side? Do you overstack the right side? Do you just cramp everybody? Do you cramp your front seven down the middle? Guess what you do then? You go over the top. You have Pierre Garçon. You have a bunch of rookies. I think they kept 4 tight ends on their final 53-man roster. You have the tools. Don't do this. Let's not play this shit safe anymore. There's no more playing it safe. You know what playing it safe has gotten us? Again, 5-11, 2-14. That's what playing safe has gotten us. I say us because I root for this team every week. So yes, I feel like that's us. I'm literally screaming hundreds of miles away at my tablet, at my TV, wherever it is that I'm watching the game on. I'm screaming. Just hoping that like I somehow just magically send a scream into somebody's head and go like, oh, we gotta score a touchdown. I mean, believe me, if I could be there every week, I would be there every week, screaming. I would literally have no voice after each and every game. But anyways, that's not the fact. That's besides the fact. But yeah, I mean the defense for the most part played well. The front seven played fairly well most of the game. It's not their fault that they had a shortened field. It's not their fault that they were kind of up against it the whole time because the offensive play calling, like it was the last year and the year before that, was atrocious. It was fucking terrible. It was terrible. And yeah, you can point out to a couple like moments where we could have scored a touchdown. The 4-man stack on the right side with Carlos Hyde when Carlos Hyde caught the ball on a screen pass and then decided to run in instead of run out, which I think he had the legs to kind of run out and score a touchdown. Okay, fine. That's one. That's one play that, like Carlos Hyde messed up. I understand that's going to happen. Right? That's going to happen. We can give everybody that shadow of a doubt. But, like, there's just play calling that's just atrocious, just period. No deep threat. I mean, pretty much. There's no deep threat. I mean, that's like a double negative what's it called? Like saying right there. But you don't threaten their defense with anything deep. Therefore, they sack the line. Carlos is not able to run. You can't get anything. You can't get anything within what you feel safe in throwing, which is that 5 to 7 yard pass, because there's just people there stacked all the damn time because you don't threaten to go over their heads with it. Another thing that kind of bugs me with this whole situation is I don't understand how there's no offensive coordinator. The head coach offensive coordinator does not work. I mean, again, you can kind of say, oh, well, you're just being a couch quarterback and blah, blah. I was laying on my bed when I was in this game. So I'm coaching from the damn bed. But, like, as an offensive coordinator, you usually have a perch above all of the playing field, above all around. Let me lower this, actually, because now it's distracting me. So you can watch things develop in full time. You can watch things, and that's always been the communication between a coordinator on the offense and the head coach, is that the offensive coordinator can see everything happen. He can see habits. He can see plays form. He can see the game kind of develop throughout and where you can actually make these adjustments. As a head coach, you only have maybe 10% of the actual visual perception of any game going on, opposed to the OC, which is why you have an offensive coordinator to kind of let you know, like, hey, I noticed, on the far side, whoop de whoop de whoop de whoop, whoop de whoop, let's call this play. That's something that a head coach is going to miss throughout the course of a game. That's just an actual. That's a fact. That's a procedural fact that something like that is going to happen. I don't understand how this man thinks he can be a head coach and an offensive coordinator, never having been a head coach before. You lose so much visualization of the actual game. But yet, I'm getting tired of all these of these people who think they're fucking geniuses, who think that, oh, I know better than this. I know, but no, you really don't. Unless you're one of the very, very few special people who are just beyond smart. I think currently the only person that I would say has that mentality, has that, is Bill Belichick. Straight out. Oh, he's a cheater. No. After the last Super Bowl, in which they were down by a shit ton, I called it. I called it. When I saw this man towards the end of the first half have his little notepad just writing down his little memoirs for that game, I said, just watch. Second half, he's going to walk into the locker room, develop some crazy ass schemes, and part of it was the Atlanta Falcons' fault because they decided to pass most of the time and not run it. But the Patriots still needed to score. All right? I told them, look, they're going to come up with some schemes. They're going to see everything that happened in the first half, everything that went wrong. They're going to come out, they're going to fucking win. Everybody was like, nah, it's too many. They're going to lose. They're going to get killed. Let's watch. Let's watch. I knew that look. And I knew that little. As soon as he went to paper and pen during the game, he adjusted, and they won. That is greatness right there. Regardless of all the other nonsense that happens at Deflategate and all the other like stealing plays and stuff like that, you still have to execute this. No matter what information you get from the enemy, you still have to execute the perfect plan. That is what Bill Belichick is really good at, executing with the information that he gets, whether it's legal or not, because frankly, there's always been debate about that. But he can still execute. It's like if you would give me the playbook to all other 31 NFL teams, right? And I went through all of them, and I'll have to focus on 15 of them, or actually not even that, like 12 of them, if you don't count like the double ups on the interconference rival matches, like 12 of them. I'll have to know 12 of them. I don't think I can successfully coach this team to fucking a 16-0 record, even with all the information. Where I think if you give the same information to somebody like a Bill Belichick, dude, you got 16-0, maybe 15-1, maybe. You might get caught slipping. Maybe somebody has your playbook. But yeah, like I'm so tired of these coaches thinking they can do everything, and this is not a good first impression, in my opinion. Losing by 20 points, you can say, oh, what's a new coach? No. I don't think at any point did Jim Harbaugh lose by 20. I really don't think so. I think he might have lost by most was like 12 or 13, and that was like considered like, what the hell happened? 20 points is, dude, even Chip Kelly won his first fucking game. And I don't care that he lost. It's just in the manner that they lost. Like, this was a terribly coached game from the offensive perspective. It was terrible. I think, just like I said last year and the year before that, when we lost Harbaugh and we had to deal with the coaches that we had, there's talent on this team. The one thing that has always remained consistent with this team is that they knew how to draft. The only draft mistake that I could ever think that this team actually made, and at this point it's kind of like water under the bridge, and I don't want to insult the man, but I think taking Alex Smith over Aaron Rodgers in the 06, 07 draft, whenever the hell that draft actually happened, maybe 05, 06, 07, one of those three. like this team just drafted really well. When Harbaugh came in, he still had a bunch of dudes that were drafted in the 07, 08, 09 generation. And look at the players that they turned out to be. Patrick Willis, uh, like in Vernon Davis. Um, damn, who else? Like I'm gonna forget a bunch of names, and I guess it doesn't matter at this point because most of them are not even on the team anymore. Um, but yeah, man, it's like I don't know. I don't think with the performance that the coaching, not the players always play with heart. Anybody who has ever seen the Niners play, whether on the defense or the offense, man, they play with heart. It doesn't matter if they were losing or anything like that. For the most part, they play with heart. Every single play of every single stupid ass call with the last two head coaches, they've played with heart, and these players are no different. But they don't have a trusting coaching staff. What I feel everybody has tried to do is replicate the magic that Jim Harbaugh was good at, and they just can't. They're not as smart as Jim Harbaugh. They're just not. Plain and simple. The sooner they realize that, the better this team will progress throughout the season and for seasons to come. If you wanted to be coached or coached like, or you want your team, and this is coming from somewhere higher up, to be coached like what led you to success 3 years ago in the 3 or 4 previous seasons prior to that, you should have kept the man who brought you that success. You should have kept Jim Harbaugh and got rid of Balky a long time ago. At this point, let Kyle Shanahan do what he did in Atlanta. Yes, we don't have Matty Ice at QB. We don't have Julio Jones at running back. You don't need it for those schemes to actually work. You need it for those deep threats. Yes, you cannot perform 30-yard passes on a continuous basis the way you were in Atlanta because I don't think you have that speed, connection, and just repertoire to actually make that happen. But let Kyle Shanahan try to do a variant of that, and it doesn't seem like that's what's going on here. It seems like everybody is trying to replicate what Harbaugh was trying to do because that's the way they're being told, hey, can you do this because we had success? It doesn't work that way. Let these players play. Let them try something new. Don't keep them boxed in. Pierre Garcon can still be a threat. You can throw a ball to this dude 20 yards. Who's going to really... He's a quick, strong dude. Yeah, he's not the fastest guy, but he's a quick, strong dude. One-on-one with a nice throw, that's a 20-yard reception. You throw 4 of those. If you succeed once, that's at least one first down. 20 yards deeper in. Which, depending on when that 20 yards actually happens, you might be good. But but that opens up, if you're willing to go for it 4 times, that opens up the whole box. All right. Well, it looks like it might be a rough season. I don't. Fuck. I hate saying this because then I'm gonna watch a whole season and kind of expect it. But right now I'm kind of feeling like a Cleveland Browns fan, where you just kind of just watch because you love the team. That's kind of where I'm at. With the schedule, let me see if I can pull up the schedule really quick. With the schedule the way that it actually is right now, I believe I had called 6 and 10 to people who I've spoken to about this, and people told me I was crazy, and I don't really think that I am. But let's see. All right, so we had Carolina and we lost. All right, so that's 1. That's 0-1. That's fine. All right, play Seahawks next week. I believe the Seahawks lost today, so they're gonna be pissed off. That's gonna be 0-2. But I'm looking for a better game because the last 3 or 4 games against the Seahawks, both under Chip Kelly and Tom Sula, have not been pretty games. You know what? No, I think the last 3 games, I believe Tom Sula actually got a victory over the Hawks. Maybe. I'm not sure. Either way, it doesn't matter. They're not winning next week, so that's 0-2. Okay, they play the Rams week 3. They can win that. They play the Cardinals week 4. They can win that. They play the Colts. The Colts have a worse O-line than just about anybody in the NFL. If somehow You cannot muster your defense to get 4 or 5 sacks against the Colts. You deserve to lose that game, but I think they can win that game. So that's gonna be 3 in a row. All right. The Redskins. The Redskins are kind of like the 49ers of the East. Because when you think about it, both owners say they love football, but don't know shit about the sport. But they have a lot of money to throw at the sport. Therefore, some of them have been able to find some mild success in it just by throwing money at the right places at the right time. So that one is debatable. Uh, mm, I think they lose. So at that point, we're looking at 3-3 after week 6. All right, that's cool. Week 7 against Dallas, that's a fucking loss. Week 8 against the Eagles, that could potentially be a win, but I'm not sure because that O-line for the Eagles is looking a little bit better, and I believe they do have a better quarterback for the staff that they have on that team. So they're going to lose that game. So right now we're looking at 3-5 after week 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 loss. That's fine. And then they play the Cardinals again at. I think they can win. I think they can sweep the Cardinals this year. I really do. With an aging quarterback, I think they have talent to win, but I think they can win. So I think they can sweep them. But you know what? I'm gonna say that they lose it just because I don't want to commit to the whole sweeping of the Cardinals. So one of the two they're gonna win or lose. This one could be the one they actually win because it's at Santa Clara. So we'll say they lose week 4 as well. So they're gonna be 1-3, and then they're gonna win 2 more, and then they're gonna win this one. So it's like 3-5. 3 no what 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 3-6 or 6 yeah 3-6. Giants. That one's always hard. They're gonna lose 3-7 after 10. They have a bye week and then they play Seattle at Santa Clara. I'm gonna say they're gonna try to give a good showing. I say they win. I don't think they get swept by the Hawks this year. I don't think so. So I'm gonna say they're gonna win. So now they're 4-7. The Bears, they better beat the Bears. So then at that point you're 5-7. The Texans can be indecisive, but I think towards the end of the year, J.J. Watt and that defense is gonna find a rhythm. They lose that game. So at that point you're 6-something. The Titans, I think you can probably beat the Titans, but I'm not sure. So you win that game. You know what? Titans and Jaguars are 15-16. You can win one of those 2 games. I'm going to say they lose to the Titans and then beat the Jaguars. And then at the end, they finish up December 31st against the Rams at the Rams in LA, which for the most part is just a very far local game, depending on people who buy the tickets. Okay, so they're going to beat the Rams. They're going to beat the Jaguars. That's 2. Going back up, they're going to beat the Bears. That's 3. They're going to beat the Seahawks at home. My count now, November 26th. So that's 4. They're going to beat the Cardinals at home. That's 5. All right. I think they lose to the Eagles. I think they lose to the Cowboys. I think they're going to lose to the Redskins. They're going to beat the Colts. So that's 6. And then I think they lose to the Cardinals at their home. And then I think they beat the Rams week 3. So is that 7? So that's 7. So that's 7-9. They lose one of the ones that I say they're 6-10. I think that's where they finish, 6-10. I don't know who they beat along those paths because everybody that I call they could lose to, and then everybody else that I say they lose to they could actually win, or they could lose an extra game against the Hawks and then that would be 6-10. So either way, that's the way I see it. So 6-10. That's gonna be my prediction for this year. I believe last year with Chip Kelly and the way they started up against the Vikings, was it the Vikings? Yeah, it was the Vikings. I predicted they finished 8-8, 9-7, and possibly sneak into like a wild card depending on how they played against the West, and then that ended up being so far from the damn truth. And again, with the team they have, if the coaches can elevate, I say they win 6. They're not gonna make the playoffs, but I say they win 6 and make progress towards a winning team. Get a couple trades, maybe get a quarterback in the offseason because that's something they're gonna need. I am not putting all my eggs in the basket for what's his face, Brian Hoyer, CJ Bethesda, or the dude from Iowa. I think he has a potential if he develops. I think in 2 or 3 years, this dude could literally be, like kind of like a Big Ben Roethlisberger, kind of, tough, very very pocket oriented, but has the ability to kind of just run when you kind of need that, but I think he has fundamentals just off a little bit that I saw him. I think he has the fundamentals to be a very, very solid starter, top 15 within the next 3 or 4 years. Honestly, I really do think that. I think the dude can be super solid, not easily in the top 20 of people you would want starting in your team. You know what I mean? So I think, but he's gonna take time to develop. You can't just throw him in there because then it's gonna be like an Alex Smith situation all over again, where he has the skills, he has the potential, he has the talent, but you throw him in there too quick and they can't develop that. They can't develop a rhythm for the game because they're constantly getting messed up. Like their rhythm is always being thrown off by getting sacked, by getting hit, by getting disappointed and stuff like that. And very few can actually like kind of surpass that. Like people go, oh, what about Dak Prescott? Dak Prescott had a line. You know what I'm saying? Dak Prescott had 7 people in front of him who would just protect him. And then he had Ezekiel Elliott who would just run on people because of that line. So Ezekiel Elliott was a little bit better equipped to succeed. They don't have it in the Niners. They're going to need somebody who can kind of quickly think on their feet and kind of make something out of broken things until you can actually develop or draft or sign a strong front seven. And they have a stronger front seven from what little bit I've saw. They have a stronger front seven in the offensive line, or a stronger front five. Sorry, they have a stronger front five. They have a stronger O line than they have. I think in the previous 2 years, but it's still not there. They're still very susceptible to pass rushing off the edges. They can get collapsed on very easily if you go 5 against 7. If they just decide to blitz, they're gonna be collapsed on. So we'll see what happens. I'm hoping for at least a decent year where, like, if they lose by like a touchdown or maybe 10 points, not no damn 20. And if you keep that plus win 6 games and be like, hey, you know what? They were all just like a possession or two away. That's progress. That's progress. I mean, I don't know if it's gonna be like Jim Harbaugh type progress anytime soon. Um, but I wouldn't mind seeing a team kind of struggle to kind of not necessarily meet minimal expectations, but kind of improve to a minimal expectation, and then from there just kind of keep going up. And maybe in 3 or 4 years, if Kyle Shanahan is still there, if he's able to progress his team enough and draft, maybe in 4 or 5 years, man, we have another like Super Bowl potentially winning like team. And that's like I'm good for the ride. I'm good for the ride. See, I'll be 35 this year. If that happens and it takes another 4 years, I'll be like close to 40. Like, look, man, the best way I would want to kick off my 40s, and this is like long term. I don't even have this long term career for like my actual career, or this long term prep for my actual career. But from just a personal standpoint, if I can kick off my 40s watching the Niners win the Super Bowl, dude, I'm gonna love my motherfucking 40s. Just based off of that, kid will be in college, and then the Niners, can hoist the Lombardi Trophy, and it's like, holy shit, I will be fucking like just shit faced off my damn mind. It'd be fucking amazing to kick off my 40s that way. And that's what I have to look forward to, people. I'm looking for that one. That's my long term goal for the Niners. Not necessarily short terms. Looking for long terms. Let's go for this. All right, yo. I've spoken long enough. You know what? For anybody who returns and watches these, man, thank you guys so much. I know I always say that, and it always seems like, oh, this guy is not genuine at all. I'm super genuine, man. If I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 views, if I see 10 views, man, I enjoy the fact that 10 people out there find me fascinating enough to want to spend however little bit of time they spend watching, even if you watch the whole thing, to take time out of your lives, man, just watch me speak. Because I mean, I'm just one guy who talks, and I just like to talk. And then when it comes to the Niners, it's like one of my passions. I love to see this team play, and I've been loving to watch this team play for about 25 years now, maybe even longer than that. And it's a passion that I like to share with other people who are passionate about the Niners. And even if you just like football, want to hear some random dudes like honest opinion about his team, that you're not gonna get from the big networks because they all have an agenda. I don't have one. I just want my team to actually succeed. But at the same time, I can call them on their bullshit when they actually lose and everything else that happens. I don't gotta be worried about being politically correct to anybody else. But yeah, and when the videos reach more than that, I'm just I'm hoping I'm using this word right, flabbergasted, that there are people out there who just like, damn, like this dude can actually say some stuff. And but yeah, here's hoping to a good and successful minimal expectational year. You know what I'm saying? I'm in it for the long haul. I will always be in it for the long haul. But if I can kick off my 40s watching the Niners win the Super Bowl, I'm gonna love that. You know what I'm saying? Make it happen. Make it happen, my team. I will not be disappointed for whatever happens in the next 4 or 5 years, as long as you can promise me that when I turn 40, I have a Super Bowl to look forward to. All right, fam. Take it easy. This has been Mr. KB. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.